Hi, Luke Yoder here with DuraEdge Products. Coming at you from Slippery Rock, PA today, and we're here to introduce the new DuraPitch ProLoc Mound Block with a unique wedge design. Before we get into that, a quick history on mound blocks. First time I ever used a block in the home plate or the mound area was in Sioux City, Iowa in 1995. And in the mid-90s to late 90s, most groundskeepers that used blocks bought them from a brick factory and they ordered unfired bricks. Well, they came with the holes in them and you kind of had to work around those, but it was still a better, harder clay that had a higher percentage of clay in it to use for your batter's boxes as opposed to a local clay source. It was probably around late 90s or 2000 when the first time that mound blocks were packaged for baseball. And then they took the holes out of it, and they've been used throughout the industry for the last 20 years as a rectangle block. Kurt Mershimer, our in-house engineer here at DuraEdge, came up with this idea to design a wedge block, which is phenomenal, and I thought it was a great idea. It works better than I even thought it would. It's got a 10-degree slope. It's a parallelogram block, so when you install these up against each other and you go in to stand on it or compact it, the weight is going against the next block, versus just against the ground. So we're going to go through today and install a typical batter's box. We're going to show you how we put them in, stagger the blocks, and how we go in and tamp them, and they're going to wedge against each other. That's going to result in less seams and less cracking down the road. So once you've got your batter's box cut out and ready to go, or the landing area of your pitcher's mound, it's time to start putting the blocks in. One step we recommend taking as you're putting them in order to avoid extra seams, is to stagger your blocks. That involves taking some type of cutting tool like a spade or something to cut the blocks in half. On your first row of blocks, we want you to stagger them. That way you're going to minimize the seams. You'll have seams going long ways, but fewer seams going crossways. Once you stagger your blocks, then you're more or less ready to begin install and proceed all the way up. Okay, so now we're going to finish installing the ProLoc blocks. We're going to finish installing a small section of your industry standard rectangular blocks, and when we get finished we're going to tamp it out and see if the ProLoc blocks really hold up to their name. So here you can clearly see the difference in the industry standard that's been around for the last 20 years or so. This is a rectangle block that's been used at all levels of play. You can see here these are rectangle blocks right here that were put in the same as these wedge design blocks that I've been walking on as I go up. I come over, try to pull this out, and I could rip it out, but they're pretty locked in there compared to these, which is just going to slide out. Again, same weight here as I've been walking back here, no tamping yet, and these wedge design blocks are already locking themselves in. So the DuraPitch Premium Mound Clay is the exact same clay that the blocks are made of. So for maintenance, we recommend using the DuraPitch Premium Mound Clay because you got a small hole, you're not having to cut up blocks and work with the blocks all the time. The blocks are great for installation or possibly in front of the pitcher's rubber. But this clay coming out of the bag is pre-moistened, it's screened 1/8 minus, and it's pre-moistened with the perfect amount of moisture. So you can see it's not sticking to my hands. We're making a nice tight ball here. So if you were to take this clay and install with it and tamp it hard enough, you would essentially make one big block. The nice thing about the blocks is the compression is done for you here at Slippery Rock. So these blocks are compressed to the point where you'd never be able to get them any harder. All you're going to do is kind of mush out the block. That's why you install with the blocks. You come back in when you need to do a repair, and you can use this for the repair. The ProLoc blocks were installed. They were offset. They were tamped in properly. They wedged against themselves very well, so they're hard to get out at this point. After that, we soaked down the top surface and applied the DuraPitch Premium Mound Clay. We raked it around, and then we just tamped that in. Okay, so we've got the batter's box installed now. We installed about 90% of it or so with the DuraPitch ProLoc Mound Blocks. We definitely found that they've held in much tighter. If I come down to this area, which everything was treated the same. We installed a small section of the old rectangular blocks, and if you can kind of still pull these up a little bit. I mean, they're sealed to a certain extent, but you can see that, they just want to loosen up. I can't get in here and pull any of these up. These blocks that you can see that design, that angle there, that's what's preventing it from coming up. The weight of the block went against the next block, against the next block, against the next block, and secured it very well. To sum up, you've got an option of go 4 inches, which is what we just did here. The 4 inch is a recommended install for a new batter's box. If you've got a lot of fields or you can't go that far, then you can go 2.5 inches. The one thing that has not changed with these blocks is they're 8 inches, so you're going to use the same amount of blocks as you would have before. The moisture in these blocks is absolutely perfect. Just like I showed you in the bag, that's the same clay as the blocks. The moisture comes perfect. You can get your thumb in it. You can take a quarter, which simulates a key or a player's spike, and go in and out easily and cleanly. So you're going to get the ideal moisture out of these blocks. We still recommend proper moisture management. We want to see you tarping. We want to see you adding moisture at the end of the day. And we want to see you using a conditioner on these as well. Using whether it's a top dressing or a calcined clay, we want to see you putting these on and helping you to manage your moisture and create a nice sliding surface coming into the box. Producing mound blocks is nothing new to DuraEdge. However, this new wedge design is. This ProLoc Mound Block can be found exclusively through DuraEdge products, patent pending, and we look forward to coming up with more innovation in the future to meet our customer needs.